Hey there, it's Marcus from Just Deploy. Today I've got something to share with you. If you're a developer tired of the unpredictable costs and lengthy, complicated process for deploy your applications, you will love this. Today I'm here to introduce you to Just Deploy, your go-to platform for deploying to your server in minutes and not weeks. Just Deploy puts you in control of your costs and lets you install only the services that you need. No more unnecessary vendor lock-in. Unlike some solutions out there that need gigabytes of memory just to run, Just Deploy operates locally on your machine without adding any extra overhead to your servers. This means more resources for your applications and less waste. I've also spent a lot of time creating documentation for this. In the docs section, you can see that it takes you through all the steps of how to configure the application for your macOS or Linux or Windows. And it will take you through all the steps for deploying, whether you're deploying to Amazon AWS, DigitalOcean, Hetzner, Google Cloud Platform, you name it, you will be able to deploy. Then there's a tutorial section here with 4 steps if you discount how to get Just Deploy. What you can do here is you can start by creating your SSH key in case you don't have one. You have a choice here whether you want to create an SSH key or not. I'll explain to you why you should create an SSH key. And then it also shows you how to test your SSH key. Then it takes you through all the configurations, which is really simple. You need your server IP, and then there's going to be a few more things that you can add. And then there's some application configuration that you can do as well. You can deploy as many applications as you want into your web server, and the prices doesn't go up. You have full control of how many applications you want to deploy. Then there's a step here that shows you how to run the server, and then obviously how to set up your applications. We have some extras in here, so all the extras are optional. There's an extra here showing you how to set up your GitHub access token in case your repository is private. Then there's how to set up swap, enable passwords authentication if you want to. Then you can check your app. But I also want to show you how to configure your own server. So here's what I did. I just got myself an instance from Amazon EC2. So this is my public IP address. As you can see, I haven't got anything on this server. So if I try and refresh, I haven't got anything. But I do have an IP address here, which what I can do is I can come over into my code and I can start configuring. So I'm going to add the IP address here, and that's the first configuration that I'll do. I'll go ahead and save this, and then I can come in here and make a few decisions about how do I want to configure my application. So there's a few software packages that get installed by default. You can add things to here, or you can remove things if you don't want them. You have a few options here that are default. You can change that. So if you want to configure security like firewalls and everything, you can do it right here. If your server is on a different port, you can set it to true. So you can SSH on a different port. And you can also create a new user, which I also always recommend. So I'm going to create a new user here. Which I'll use my name. And I'm also saying I want to set up a web server. So this is not super important right now because we're not going to be setting up the web server now. We'll do it on the next step. But I will go ahead and save this. And what I can do now is I can just run this script, and the script will ask me for a few things. So the first thing is like, what is the password for this user, the Emplacona user? And I will say that the password is something that I know and trust. And then once I press enter, you will see that it will start doing several things. And the update and upgrade, this is a brand new server, so the update and upgrade can take a few seconds, but it's doing everything for you. So you don't need to do anything yourself. It's just doing everything for you. And now that it's completed the upgrade and update, it's going to try and install some of the useful packages that we've added. So it seems Vim was already installed, Git was already installed, ACL is new. The server already had a firewall, so it is confirming that it already had, and then installs Nginx, which is our web server. Now it does a few security configurations for us. And then it shows a message saying the configurations have been done. And now it's creating the users, it's updating passwords and just making sure that the server is secure. And now it's completed. So if we now go back to our browser and just refresh the page, we'll see that we have web server installed. So we went from not having anything installed on this server to now having some things installed on the server. But that's not the end of it, because like I said, we've now created a user, so we can go ahead and update this user. So like next time the script actually tries to hit our server, it will hit with the new user. And then the next thing that we can do is we go ahead and add a couple of things here into the config. So I'm just trying to run the just deploy landing page. So I've configured the domains, so a couple of domains here. I'm saying where's the repository. So this one for me is a private repository, and I'm telling my server which port that it should be running. So in this case, I'm saying I want it to run on port 3002. I can set up some environment variables as well. So I have a number of environment variables that I can set in here. So like my Stripe variables and everything. And then I also want to be able to run this as a live application, so a production application. So I'm doing npm run build, npm run start. If I wanted to run this as developer, I could just change this environment variable and then just could go and change this to npm run dev. But in this case, I'm going to run in production and then save this. And the next thing that I need to do is I need to go and run the task number 2, which is the application setup. And the application setup will do a few things. So it will set up the application for me, but it will also set up Node.js, it will set up JavaScript correctly. It will just do a bunch of things for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and run that, and that's gonna get all of the details for me. So it's gonna try and install a few things. It's gonna try and install JavaScript as well. It will install JavaScript correctly. And then the last thing that it will do is it will go into my GitHub account and it will download this repository that I set in here. So I should end up with a landing page for just deploy. Now the caveat here is this landing page will be deployed into port 3002. So what I need to do is I need to make sure that I open up this port so I can access it. And so yeah, as I said, it is getting the applications. It is now cloning the GitHub repository. Then it's installing all of the dependencies for the applications. You can have multiples of these as well. So all you need to do is just copy this block of code and you can create a new block of code, so you can keep on creating new applications. You can have as many applications as your server will take. So I've hosted 5 or 6 applications on a small DigitalOcean droplet with no problems at all. So it is very possible to do it. And now it's running all of the restart commands, it's restarting the server, and now the application is deployed. So we should be able to go and hit the server on port 3002 and run the application. There's one last thing that I always like to do, which is if you do try and access the application on port 3002 right now, you will see that you probably won't be able to see anything because port 3002 is not open on this server. What I do for testing things out is there is in the docs, this is well explained, but there is an extra setup that you can do. And the extra setup is one for opening ports, and you can say which ports you want to open. So I'm just going to run it like this. I'm just going to say open ports. And then what it will do is it will go into my config file. It will grab all the ports from here, and it will open these ports. As you can see, it's allowing to run the ports. And now that it's done that, I should be able to just go back into my browser and reload, and there you go. Now I can see the application that we just deployed